Joining us, co-founder of the Lincoln Project, Rick Wilson. Jonathan Lemire, still with us. I've got a theory of this. Rick, I know you've got a theory. What is yours?
Look, my theory is Tucker feels his audience is changing and slipping and moving around. I think this is an insufficient explanation in a lot of ways. Him saying suddenly I've woken, I've had a moral awakening in some way, because he hasn't had a moral awakening about his fandom of Putin or his fandom of Orban when he was still in office or any of the other things he's done. This feels very specific and very keyed to his podcasting audience more than it feels like any sort of moral awakening.
John?
I think that's right. I mean, maybe Tucker Carlson's sincere in his belief that the U.S. shouldn't be attacking Iran. That's something he has said for a while. But I think Rick's onto something here. Carlson is an extraordinary influential voice in the Trump orbit, less so these days now that he's no longer on Fox News, but he has a big podcast audience. But it's not just Carlson. We've seen these other, I hate to use the phrase manosphere, I really do, but these manosphere-esque podcasters who were very supportive of Trump, or at least Trump curious in 2024, run away from him and do it rather, rapidly because of issues like immigration, the deportation program, but particularly this war, basically just saying, look, this isn't at all what we were promised. And Katie, as you well know as anybody, because we were there together in 2016 each and every day, the Trump pledge to not get involved in these new conflicts, condemning the forever wars of Iraq and Afghanistan. That wasn't just part of his stump speech. That was an extremely popular part of his stump speech and won him over voters that wouldn't necessarily have thought about voting for him or, frankly, even other Republican candidates. So there are some, yes, that feel betrayed, even if Carlson's motives perhaps are a little more slippery.
So my thoughts on this go a little bit further. And I think that what Tucker Carlson could be doing, he could be looking at what happened in Hungary and specifically Peter Magyar, seeing a guy who came from the inside. He was part of Orban's party, came from the inside, was able to break away from it, say that he saw the corruption and the rot up close, and that he was the one who could fix it. He could bring the Hungarian democracy back to life, bring economic prosperity back to its people. He did it effectively. He won. I wonder if this is Tucker Carlson's way of starting to seed a presidential run. Here I am as somebody who has seen the Trump phenomenon from the inside, was part of the movement, bought into this idea that we were going to make everything better, no forever wars, close down the border, economic prosperity for all. I saw how that wasn't accomplished. I saw Donald Trump and his corruption up close, what he really wanted, and I'm the one who can actually fix this. Is that being too cynical, Rick?
No, I don't think it's being too cynical at all. Look, Tucker was, as 2024 started to warm up, there were a lot of people beating the drum for Tucker. Tucker, not the least among them, to get in the primary, at least as a symbol, at least as an expression of the division inside the MAGA base. And if you look at what's coming up in 2028, there is a real argument to be made that J.D. Vance, who right now is polling in the 30s like his boss, is a vulnerable front runner, but a vulnerable one. And why not, if you're Tucker and you anticipate 10 other people getting in the race, why not roll the dice? Why not jump in? Go to Iowa. Maybe in a 10-person field, you don't need to even get more than 15, 18% if you're Tucker. He's got built-in name ID. There's a lot of arguments for it.
It's opportunism that he's always been prone to. I mean, listen, we saw in the court records from the Dominion lawsuit at Fox News what Tucker really thought of Donald Trump. We saw it in his text messages. And he didn't like Donald Trump. He was happy to see Donald Trump go. And so this idea that, he was fully bought in and really liked it and now has to apologize, I don't know. It just doesn't come off, doesn't ring true to me, John.
Yeah, no, I think Carlson's always been a bit of a shapeshifter. We have seen his political stances change, and just as his media homes have changed rather remarkably over the last decade or so. And he is out on his own now. It's not a bad theory. As you both have said, he has had political aspirations before. He is someone who could make the case that he's a convert, that he was up close and saw what went wrong. He did consider a run in 2024, or more like 2022, 2023, when it seemed like Trump was really, really weak and beatable. Let's remember, right after the midterms of 2022, Trump hardly announced his presidential campaign, almost to crickets. and people thought, the party's ready to turn on him. That ended up, of course, not being the case. I think the criminal prosecutions against Trump really helped him. It rallied Republicans back to his side, and other would-be contenders faded off fairly quickly. But Carlson thought about it then. Perhaps he is thinking about it now. We've heard from Steve Bannon thinking similar things. There's going to be space here because I agree. Vance right now is a very weak would-be frontrunner. Secretary of State Rubio is someone also talked about, but we've seen him run before, and it didn't go all that well. He is someone now who would be so wedded to the Trump ideology and the administration. So there is certainly space there for someone who would be on the outside.